Hello and welcome to More Than Commas. My name is Paul Adams, your host and CEO of Sound Financial Group. For many of you out there as listeners, we know that you're Henry. You're that high earner not retired yet, and you're in that corporate structure, or you're maybe in a large private company. And one of the things that you have to do is navigate politics, changing economic environment, change of ownership, change of leadership, all the way through your entire career. In many ways, it's much more of a minefield than even entrepreneurship in terms of relationships, advancement, and to some extent that you have to be politically savvy. So as a part of that, on More Than Commas, we're bringing in people who have already been on that journey and been incredibly successful at it. And first in that is Jesse Rhodes Jr. joining us today. He spent 25 plus years inside some of the most demanding companies in the world: Amazon, Deloitte, Ernst & Young, Target, and Walmart. Most recently, he was the head of risk at Amazon, where he led in internal controls and championed what he calls value-based leadership. Now, he recently left corporate life to focus full-time on coaching, speaking, and writing. He's been the author of Leadership Unlocked, Harness the Power of Your Ambition, and he now coaches executives and emerging leaders on how to align their ambition with their values and how to build a career by design rather than by default. He's also deeply invested in the next generation. He chairs the Puget Sound chapter of the After School All-Stars, serves as a national director of the National Association of Black Accountants, and mentors students at UW, University of Washington, and Western Washington University. And as of 12/30 last year, December 30th last year, he is the vice chair for the Rainier Valley Leadership Academy. Jesse Rhodes Jr., welcome to More Than Commas.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I appreciate this opportunity to connect, my friend.
Here you've worked your way through your career in some of the toughest leadership and executive roles in some of the most demanding companies, not just in this country, but in the world. And when you look back, what's the one or two things you did early that made the biggest difference in your career?
Wow. Looking back and still even to this day, it's I would say two if I can, two things. One, being a first generation college graduate,
Hmm.
I'm the first of everything. So I have this sense of learn and be curious, borrowing my Amazon language there, but really just dive in, asking tons of questions, right? And so that's the one piece. And by asking tons of questions, it allows me to unlock my analytical mind, but it also enrolls the other person, right? And I realize I get a chance to see them as the human as they are.
Hmm.
And by embracing, which is my number two, by embracing the humanity first helps me get clarity on how to align and work with that individual. And so I do that naturally. I'm a people person, right? And so I use my natural energy and superpower to connect with humans, even the most difficult conversations or difficult spaces. And then that way I get their thinking pattern and their operating rhythm. So it allows me how to respond and support accordingly. If I try to jump right into a solution or jump right into an answer, I lose them. I had that happen a few times. But connecting human to human and seeing and asking curiosity questions has helped me throughout my entire career.
Well, now I want to take the slider bar in your life, like watching a YouTube video,
Yeah.
and let's take that and slide it back to the beginning. Curiosity and human engagement aren't usually the first things that come out of a hard-hitting executive's mouth.
Correct.
So tell me about your growing up, what was the family background that had you be the first one to go to college? And kind of how the start of your career that you chose this path. Was there a point at which you thought you made the wrong call and had to press through? So let's hit the rewind first and then a
That's
little
loaded.
teaser.
Yeah, loaded. So proud son to my amazing parents over in Philadelphia, born and raised is where I'm at. I live in Seattle now, as you know, and been here for 10 years. So it's definitely my second home. And what I love about my parents, they still together, been married now for, I don't know, 58 years, so a long time married.
Mhm.
They have their battles, but we're just watching that infrastructure come together, and my mom always put me on this pedestal, and I never felt I was deserving of that pedestal. And I always appreciate and honor that she looked, she's proud of me and my sister, my little sister Karen. With that came this responsibility early on. Can I live up to my name? And so I didn't really have a frame of who to connect with in my extended family per se. They weren't striving at the time where I was striving. So I had to look to outside people to support. So it was part of my survival, if you may, to say, how do I learn from others in order to elevate to meet where my mom sees me at already?
Mhm.
I have to admit, I still don't think I met my mom's bar. I'm still striving to her bar. I'm like, and I love it. I love it. I appreciate her. It came with a lot of love and weight in regarding to the responsibility of success. And that success doesn't mean I had to win. She meant take the chance and fail too. And
Yeah.
that's heavier, because that means you're okay with me falling down. Well, I don't wanna fall down, right? So I had to learn to be okay with falling down and getting back up was part of her success, and she would share those attributes as well. So for me, I'm grateful from that starting point. Now, your other question, ooh,
So
have I ever
what was
wanted
your degree in to go into,
yeah,
as I like to say, the industry of watching to make sure things don't disappear?
correct. 'Cause think about when I went to college, right? My when I was in high school, got into this big fight, right? This kid, leaving that school, and then when I was in new school, my dad said, "Hey, they asked you this question. Say you want to become an accountant." So I'm in my new school, taking accounting classes, getting A's. Well, I like that, right? I like this is great, right? So then and then my teacher said, "Well, you're really good at math. You're really good at science. You're really good at accounting. Why don't you think about Drexel University?" School based in Philadelphia. Okay, didn't know much about Drexel University, but I applied. They had this cool summer program. I get selected. I only applied to one school, by the way, Paul, one school, and got selected, right? So then you take that dynamic. I'm in the school and I study accounting. I'm getting A's in my accounting class. Accounting has always been easy for me. I wrapped up, it was a 5-year college, and we had a co op program, which means you get a chance to work and study. And so I spoke to my dean at the school. I said, "Well, I'm wrapping up my accounting classes pretty early. What else can I take while I'm here? I want to be intentional." I was paying my own way through college. And she's like, "Well, this thing called Management Information Systems, MIS. You should consider it. Computers are a big thing." Now I'm dating myself now, by the way, y'all. I say that. All right, but this was 1993, 94, 95. Yeah, I know, right? So in the last century, right? So I take MIS, right? And best decision ever. Fast forward, I get this interview at Deloitte and Touche, and she says to me, "Hey, you got your accounting background, you got your MIS degree, you started 2 organizations while you're in college, you're president of one of them. We want you here." So all the hard work that I was doing in school was I felt seen, valued, and heard by Debbie Hassan. I love Debbie Hassan, one of my great mentors. And that really started my trajectory because she saw my accounting at MIS. Now, Paul, did I know what the heck my first job was? No, I didn't know what. So I came to Deloitte, and it was what we call now technology audit, technology risk management. Back then, it was called, I forget what it was called back then. It was different, right? And I didn't know what I was signing up for, but I was so grateful for the mentorship to see me and saw value in what I was producing. That, my friends, what brought me into Big Four, which leads to the other question. I say if I was to change anything, it would change everything. So I am grateful for all the bumps, the bruises, the kicks, the stones, the slices in the back,
Mhm.
everything that came my way, because I wouldn't be talking to you right now, Paul.
This episode is brought to you by Count. It's a modern platform specifically built for bookkeeping and accounting professionals. To learn more, find the link in our description below. You get a 2-month extended trial and free migration of your clients if you chose to choose Count. Was there a point though where you were doubting it and you had to like redouble down? Any crucible event like that?
Yeah, the big ones, I would say my doubts came from external factors. So
Mm,
when I was at Deloitte, on the personal side, I was going through a transition. My wife and I we're going to get divorced. We're splitting up. And so for me, she got tired of the Deloitte life, of the
mm,
we used to call the Deloitte widowers
yeah.
because they never saw their spouse, right? And so I said, okay, you know what? I will leave Deloitte. I will find another job. I won't pursue partnership. Still feel a little twisted about that, Paul, because I like that Deloitte culture. I was there for 10 plus years, and I could see me being a partner. I still can see me being a partner at Deloitte, right? So
Deloitte, if you're listening.
Deloitte, if you're listening, I'm still up for sale, right? Because I really love Deloitte. That was family. Like I really love Deloitte. And then they helped me through some tough points. They took care of me when I got into a car accident. They supported my it was just family, right?
Yeah.
So I left there and I went to Walmart, but that actually helped expedite us deciding to get divorced. Because
Mm,
and I look back, it was probably the best thing for her and I because what she was in a decision tree was, do I pick up again and move my world to another state for something we're not sure about? Now, you go back years ago when we had our son Jason, similar happened. She had to pick up her whole world. She was going to school to be a lawyer. She was going to school to do big things. And then we had our son, and she shifted her world. Wow. Right? So she
mhm.
decided to choose herself, which I love her for it. I'm honored for her to decide to do that. And if she's listening, I respect and appreciate you as a mother of my beautiful children in life. And I get that decision. So here I am. I'm in Walmart by myself, reverse travel to go see my kids when my initial intention was to be at home with the kids.
Yeah.
It was a good reflection point, my friend. I had to get through there and learn what that meant. What was society? What was life? What was God telling me to do to shift in that season of my life to heal where I need to be healed? But that's where I would say me leaving Deloitte was the toughest decision. um, I'm grateful 'cause I learned Walmart. I built teams. I built ecosystems at Target. I built teams, 3 teams at Amazon. So it allowed me to sharpen my pencil on
Yeah.
what I needed to sharpen my pencil on leadership skills. Helped me get to the point that I wrote my own book. As you know, you mentioned Leadership Unlocked, to even being crazy enough to open up a restaurant. I had a restaurant here in Seattle, Poco Wine and Spirits. So the endless possibilities has expanded because of those moves, and I'm also still grounded for where I rooted from, which is Philadelphia, Deloitte and Touche, and my family, my beautiful kids are now 27, 26, soon to be 27, and my daughter is 22. She thinks she's 47, but 22
Yeah, yeah.
years old daughter. Jessica, if you're listening, you know I love you.
Well, when you talk about building those teams, and of course, you're anybody who knows you're big on that kind of values-based leadership.
Yes.
So when you come into a new team who may have been like maybe they're all high performers, but
Right.
maybe they've been like mercenaries up until then where they're all executing in sync, but like mercenaries, like just drop them to another team, they'll do that too. They're not
Yes.
necessarily being driven by the values. What do you do in making that present for a new team when maybe it wasn't there before? I think many listeners may realize they've been managing people on tasks and outcomes and all of that, but not pressing values into the team.
The biggest thing is the humanity part. Now let me
Mm,
unpack that.
yeah.
What drives the person? Right, what drives you, Paul, is different what drives me. There's some similarities, there's some connection points, some commonality, but reality, yours is rooted from your life experience and where you're at that point, and outside motivation that may be surrounding your current state. We get that. A lot of times we don't pause enough to acknowledge the human first.
Mm,
Are you? What's your purpose? What's your why? The how gets easy. how we get this done, how I'm pouring into you, how I'm pouring into your cup, how I'm help you get your expansion is my goal. Taking the opportunity to connect human and human is huge. Then it allows me to structure the new self, which is the team. Okay, what is this team now as a result of all the energy of the folks that are involved? What's missing? What's imbalance, right? So we can learn and see, are folks working their brilliance? Are they doing things that's kind of monotone? Or are they chasing this shiny object because they want it looks cool? AI, I'm gonna do this over here, but I don't know what I'm doing. How do we make sure we optimize the team and their space? Want them to grow, but also not sit in the area fixate they've been doing for a long time and not give them much life. Yeah, they're good at it, but am I get the most out of them? Probably no. Okay, they were reluctant and resentment to doing it. Could they be use that as a teaching opportunity for one that has a shiny object and wants to do it and let that person take over? Great opportunity. So for me, is listening to the human first. What drives you? What's your why? And in an ecosystem, I can construct that and remove invisible barriers from their ambition, healthy ambition, right, to execution. And that part is where I love doing that. I did it at Walmart when I was doing my data analytics team, Target, when I worked through that messiness of pulling out of Canada, and then
Mhm.
cybersecurity was new on the streets, and we work with a cyber team. And then, of course, Amazon, multiple teams to even name from both finance to sales to HR. It's got a lot of fun chances to play around that in that box to really help people thrive. And it was cool. Everywhere I've left, I've still kept a core connection to each of those teams.
Oh,
And
nice.
they became friends and family. So I get on with name each one, Lynette, Shilpa, Amy, I hope I'm listening. Oh, Clive,
Yeah.
Lynette. Now I'm in trouble. I start naming names,
Yeah,
but
yeah, exactly. Like on the Oscars when they're like, "Oh my
yeah,
gosh, oh my gosh," and then the music starts and they
I
panic.
know. Like, hold up.
Dude, that's the only thing I watch the Oscars for is that new person that won it, and they're so happy and there's so much joy, and it's the only place in the world you see joy turn to terror is when
Yes.
that music starts on them. Oh,
Renee, can't forget Renee. See?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. See, so now as you built these teams,
Yeah.
and I mean, I think as people listen to this, like it sounds like, oh my gosh, that sounds amazing. But I know in those organizations, there were deadlines, politics, setbacks. With this many people, you probably had people die, become disabled, divorce, get really sick, all, and then putting more pressure on the team. My two questions there are how have you managed to keep your mindset grounded? And then what did you do with your teams to help them work on that same mindset?
Wow, 2. I hope I had it here. I had this cool trusted, like, 5-minute journal. I
Uh
have a
huh.
few of them, so not this particular brand, but what I love about it, it tells about, 1, what am I grateful for? 2, what will make today great? What's my daily affirmation? And then highlights of the day, and what did I learn today? Now this is what I do for my personal side. This is a brand new one. I have another one.
Hmm.
This is what I do for my personal side. I translate that in the corporate side too. You think about like the agile, those stand
Hmm.
up meetings. Okay, hey, how's it going? What was successful? What was the wins we had? What was
Yes.
the opportunities we had? And it keeps folks to just be connected and stay present to what's happening for them. How do we carry on the light of each individual? And then how do we make sure that we apply what I call situational leadership? And you can look it up too, where it's down to task specific, right? Where how am I helping the individual, not overcrowding them, but not flying so high that I miss them to make sure that based on the situation, they're getting the right support they need. So the technical skills, the situational leadership work I do, but also stand-ups, the agile. I have a specific example. I remember we were doing a risk assessment, and it was pretty massive in size. And I knew that we couldn't do your traditional waterfall. Wait, no, let me do my risk, impact likelihood. Look at that
Hmm.
first, design controls, and then by the time I delivered, the environment would have changed. It was moving
Hmm.
so fast. You can kind of guess the company I'm talking about, right?
Yes.
So from there, what I did was a more agile approach every 2 weeks, but took the team that had to learn the agile approach. and we report out to the management team. We produce results. We gave quick sprints every 2 weeks and share results. The breakdown was forgetting the basic mechanism that the company had. They had weekly business reviews, they had monthly business reviews, they had quarterly business reviews, and we, being brand new to the company, didn't realize nor adopt that mechanism. Even though we're
Mm,
agile, report out every 2 weeks, and the customer in that market, it was India, Bangalore, Hyderabad, they felt supported and saw and got their work done. But I wasn't reporting back to the executives in Seattle, right?
right.
And so that helped me frame up, and even in the book, the importance of clarity, clarity, alignment, and commitment. So while folks understood what we're doing, by us not following up, the clarity and alignment got troubled. It's an active circle. You can't. It's not okay. I say it's one time and I'm done and leave. No, it has to be living. So
Yes.
as we were discovering things in the market while we're out in Hyderabad, Bangalore, and so forth, we need to report back to leadership of what was taking place. So by the time we produced the final report, there was a disconnect where folks thought they were going to see based on what we discussed weeks, months ago to what we actually deliver. And the report was powerful. So for me, like, okay, and then what happens is the digestion report stayed living for years to come. Hey, Jesse, remember that report you produced? I got a question for you. So we knew it was valuable,
Yeah.
right? And they saw the value, they just didn't know what they had in front of them when it was delivered. So I tell
Yeah.
people all the time, you got the best product delivered, but if you don't check in with your stakeholders or your team or your whomever and keep a active pulse on what you plan to deliver versus what actually was delivered, you got to disconnect. I'm gonna give you a visual. You ready
I
for the
was gonna
visual?
yeah.
Want to try it?
Yeah.
All right. See his glass of
Yeah.
water,
Yeah.
right? I'm gonna say, Paul, I'm gonna move this glass. Now, you already have your thoughts on when, where, why, how, and
Yep.
guess what? Those are all true for you, but so is true for me too.
Yep.
Now, guess where am I gonna move it?
Uh, back down on the table.
Mm, good guess. I would say I already moved it to show my example. So you're waiting
Yeah.
for action to still take place. In my mind, I already took the action.
Yeah.
Boom. And that's breakdown trust. And,
Yes.
and lose trust. People think they expected something different. Then both are right. And we do this all day long.
Well, and being in that communication with whoever your customer is, whether that's leadership or an actual you're dealing directly with a customer, I found those communications can actually produce new satisfaction that wasn't going to be there otherwise, simply because you were in the communication and they're like, this is wonderful. And you're building up the, if in a case like this, you're delivering this large report, you're actually getting them ready to absorb how big it is and how large the insights might be.
Which is why I love Amazon. So Amazon loves report. The most senior person do not speak. They wait and allow everyone else to react. If you're bringing your team along the journey throughout, you already have advocates in the room because they've been reading your doc or your process along. If the room becomes full of questions from your own stakeholders, the leader's already feeling, this hasn't been shared much. Are they sure? How do you know the answer is right? Is it right? How do you know it's right? If you haven't even shared your own peers to make sure that it's solid, you may be coming to me too soon.
Yeah.
You burn trust. So
Yeah.
to your point, carrying folks along the journey ensures alignment and commitment, and it'll stand with you when you're delivering, and they will adopt it. They'll adopt your recommendations or where it may be, because you already enrolled them. They already committed. They already connected. They already said yes. And a lot of times we get in our own way. We're so fearful of looking bad. So I
Yeah.
don't want to share it because it's not ready yet. What? No, that's when you should share it so you build together
Maybe don't share it with all the big bosses at once the first time.
Right, your peers, right? Hey, or maybe the boss, you say, Here's what I believe you looking for structure-wise. Am I on the right path?"
Yeah.
That's good because I always say the clarity piece, back to the glass, is not just on my responsibility to tell you where it's going. It's also your side to seek to understand where it's going. So if I omit unintentionally to say, I'm gonna move this glass, if you don't say, well, Jesse, when, where, why, and how are you moving the glass, then that's also a breakdown. So to your
Yeah.
point earlier, hey, if you need to go back to your leadership team and seek clarity so that when you do deliver, you meet their expectations and you're not guessing. Or
Yes.
as you share with other folks and they share, well, so and so will want this here, and you get that real time feedback. You say, hey, no, I just want to just recircle back to you. Here's my understanding what you're looking for, but I'm also hearing you may need these things here too. Is this a line? Perfect way to enroll. And I think a lot of times our own fear, which is false evidence appearing real, gets in the way of the very success we're seeking.
Somebody listen to this who they're in that, they're in a corporate structure. They've cracked over that $200,000 a year income limit. They're working their way toward, seven-figure income, or that's their aim. Like, how would you have them, like, if you were to give somebody the short advice of how to deal with artificial intelligence in the workplace?
I would say one, just like the calculator, and I'm not dating myself, but I'm dating myself, right? Is these are tools of enablement. And we have to not see as replacement. For me, it's the embracement. Now, embracing and not letting it control. Some folks I'm seeing is they're letting the AI tools make the decisions for them.
Mm.
On our side, sharpen your pencil, read, stay connected, stay understand how to leverage and build better prompts, right? And check the sources to make sure it's not hallucinating. And then two is your voice is so powerful. Your thoughts, the world is desperate to make the impact that only you can make. So what that understanding is, okay, I still need my human intelligence. So with that being the supreme and then sharing that into my tools that'll help me enable, right, a doc or where it may be, then the voice of me doesn't disappear. All you're
Yeah.
doing is fixing the EDs and INGs and enhancing it, but you're not writing my voice. So I want folks to hear is don't look at AI as losing your voice. It's enhancing and scaling the outcome you can produce as a human. Then that's the right use of the tools.
Well, and something you said there that we say inside our organization, I don't know if I've said it on the show yet, but the policy in our company is you're not to ask AI something where you're not inquiry competent. So if you're asking a tax question and you don't know enough about tax to know if the answer is accurate or not, because it's a tool that should give us speed and quality. What we do then is you bring in somebody else who has the inquiry competence to check your answer. And then now, and that makes you inquiry competent over time through that human mentorship that happens there.
And I know we'll get there. Now, here's where what allowed me to exit corporate. I'm realizing very quickly trust is getting eroded because
Mm.
of technology and because we're removing. And as a result, companies are already experiencing a drop in innovation and team dynamic, right? Because they're fearful that the AI police will come take them from their job. Execution is being impacted already, and we're still new in this process. And so I'm like, let me help bring back the humanity element to your
Mhm.
point, remind them of the appropriate and responsible use of technology and don't lose your integrity as a human as yourself, and don't lose your integrity as a team or organization of the output you're looking to produce. To your point, if you're not in the field of tax, why the heck you asking AI tax questions and you're gonna try to replace your tax accountant? Good
Yeah.
luck with that because
Right.
the AI is not going to jail when IRS look at you are.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right. That's right. Well, Jesse, this was amazing today. I want you to tell our audience how they can get a hold of you, for everybody listening,
Love
and,
it.
and tell them how they can work with you and what's the best way to reach you for speaking, coaching, and consulting in large groups.
I love it. Well, one, they can find me through you and your team 'cause we're connected now. So if you
Yeah.
ask for Paul, you ask, "Hey, where's Jesse?" That's one way. Also, other way is my name, Jesse. Last name Rhodes, Rhodes, JR. The JR is the most important part of that whole name. I love my dad. I love you so much. And it helped with the sales, authentic SEO.
Yeah.
So with Jesse Rose Jr., I'm the only Jesse Rose Jr. on the internet. So and my website is jesserosejr.com. And you go to Amazon, I'm there too. Jesse Rose Jr. Amazon, you'll see me as well.
Well, thank you so much for being here and sharing with our listeners. I know every one of them is worried. We have clients making over $1 million in corporate America, and
Yes.
they're competing with both the 35-year-old MBA that thinks they can do it for half as much, as well as the CFO looking at how much money they make every year, and they're dealing with it from both ends. I know that this episode will be helpful to all of them. Thank you for joining us.
Appreciate you, man.
All right, everybody. Thanks More Than Commas family for being here. Now, get out there and keep living a great life.